Hello and welcome to Film Favs. I'm Justin Grohl. I'm VTV's internal director and resident movie buff. Today I'm here with...
I am Giana Abbas. I am VTV's communication director, and I also have a letterboxd, so I think that makes me at least a bit credible.
All right. So today, let's start off with some box office news. So last weekend, going into this weekend, it appears that Argyle is still on top, even though it's apparently flopped within the movie business, followed closely by a newer release, Lisa Frankenstein, written by Diablo Cody, who made Jennifer's Body, and the Academy Award-winning Juno, which she wrote and won an Oscar for.
Oh, okay.
So that was a bit of a surprise to see that actually take second to Argyle, which people thought wouldn't do so well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think Argyle was, well-received.
Yeah, but, it's Matthew Vaughn. People are going to it. And so then moving into this weekend, it appears that the Bob Marley biopic, Bob Marley One Love, seems to be in the front runner for box office, followed then by Madam Web in Sony's Spider-Man universe, home to Venom and the one and only Michael Morbius.
The classic.
The classic Jared
The classic.
Leto. Yeah, so that actually came out Valentine's Day already, and people don't like it. People
don't like Madam Web?
Nope.
Well, that's shocking after the trailer was so well received.
I know, right? People were like, Adam Scott as Ben Parker, Uncle Ben as a hot Uncle Dad. Wow.
Oh my god, Uncle Ben has become a DILF in the new universe.
Always has been. Yeah, so people don't like that movie, which is to be expected. It's a Sony Spider-Man movie. They do not care what's going on over there. They just don't want Disney to have the rights of those characters.
Which ones did Sony make already?
They made, the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy. Like, this is back when Sony, cared a bit. Mm-hmm. They made the first few Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And then they moved into, we need to make more movies so that we don't lose the rights. So then they made Venom. And then they made Morbius. And then they made Madam Web, and now they're making Craven, and they just keep going.
That's unfortunate. Who makes the Into the Spider-Verse movies, though?
That's also Sony.
Because those are really good.
But that's Sony Animation.
Okay.
And people actually care about those. Mm-hmm. The people who work on those actually give a crap about Spider-Man.
For real.
When you got Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, working on it, it's bound to be good. They do not miss. So in other Marvel and movie news, this was a big week for them. They had a lot of announcements, advertisements going out this month, and a lot of people are very excited. Probably the biggest of them all, casting for the Fantastic Four has finally and officially been announced after much speculation as to who it could be. Mm-hmm. So, going through, you got Mr. Fantastic, the leader, smartest man in the universe, and Mr. Stretchy,
Mr. Stretchy.
Mr. Stretchy.
That's his real name in the universe.
As he's commonly known as Mr.
Of
Stretchy.
Course.
You got the Invisible Woman, his girlfriend, future wife, and Invisible Woman as her name, clarifies.
Pretty straightforward.
You got the Human Torch. You got who is the Invisible Woman's sister. Nope. What?
I was gonna say.
I know, it's crazy.
I
right?
was unaware. I knew I didn't know much about Fantastic Four, but
no. It's the Invisible Woman's brother. Okay, and then you have the Thing, who is Mr. Fantastic's childhood best friend, and Rock Monster. So they came out with a picture on Valentine's Day, and it showed that Pedro Pascal would be the leader of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby in the Sue Storm role. We got Ebon Moss-Bachrach as the Thing. And the one and only Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch.
Joseph Quinn, a.k.a. Eddie Munson from Stranger Things, the best character ever.
Yes, Eddie Munson is now the Human Torch.
Mm-hmm.
they also announced the X-Men animated series is coming back.
Oh, I didn't know about
X-Men, I believe X-Men 97, I believe it's called.
that. Okay.
So that's set to be a continuation of the old X-Men cartoon, picking up right where it left off. Very excited to see that. I know a lot of older Marvel fans are excited for it. So I'm happy to be surprised by that. And then during the Super Bowl, Deadpool 3 trailer, now known as Deadpool and Wolverine, came out. Now I understand that you have not seen...
I have not seen either of the Deadpool movies yet, unfortunately, so I actually intentionally did not watch the trailer because I don't want to be spoiled. Because obviously I'm gonna watch them at some point, but...
They've been out for what, like 9 years?
Listen, people always say this sort of thing. I can't watch everything that comes out all the time, ever. I've got things to do, okay? Like, other movies that I could be watching. Like the movies that came out 10 years ago.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
But in my opinion, I think it looks very exciting. I think it looks like a step in the right direction for Marvel. I know they're probably going to do some multiverse kind of nostalgia bait kind of thing, but I don't know. It brought back Hugh Jackman. So if he thinks this is a good enough role for him to come back, and if Ryan Reynolds is like still very much hands-on, I think this could be a very good movie. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts there.
Good things to look forward to.
Things to look forward to. But actually, let's jump back to Fantastic Four, because another story is the fact that it's going to be coming out the same month as Superman Legacy, the newest Superman movie, and the event to formally kick off the new DCU led by James Gunn, who formerly worked for Marvel.
Oh.
So I don't know. That should be a very interesting, exciting month. I hope both movies are great, but I have more faith, honestly, in Superman. James Gunn's writing, James Gunn's directing.
That's fair.
I don't know. I trust the man who brought us Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Should be a very big month at the box office.
Which month is that going to be?
I believe that's going to be in May.
Okay.
May. Now, may we move on to our next segment.
Oh, that was clever. That was a clever one that you did.
Let's move on to the next segment of the show, where we discuss your favorite movie.
Yes, where I take over and we talk about my thoughts and opinions.
Yes, I shut up and you just start talking.
Exactly.
So, I believe on your list, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can.
You can.
Yes.
So what were the 4 others that did not make the cut this?
My 4 others, in least to most order, was, I believe, La La Land, followed by Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, followed by Grand Budapest Hotel, Howl's Moving Castle was number 2, and then number 1 was Back to the Future 2, which I wasn't allowed to talk about.
No, because, I don't know, in the future we might have a special Back to the Future project for Film Favs. I don't know.
Very exciting.
Stay tuned.
Very exciting. But yeah, Howl's Moving Castle is like definitely my second favorite movie.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna talk about today. So that came out in 2004, I believe, directed by the legendary studio Ghibli, or is it Ghibli? Ghibli? Which one do you prefer?
Ghibli.
Ghibli?
I say Ghibli. I don't know actually what it's supposed to be, though.
We'll call it Studio Ghibli.
We'll call it Studio Ghibli.
The legendary director Hayao Miyazaki. It stars Christian Bale as the titular Howl.
Exactly.
Emily Mortimer and Gene Simmons as Sophie in varying ages. You got Josh Hutcherson.
Which is crazy.
Josh Hutcherson
pick.
as Markle. And the Mike Wazowski himself, Billy Crystal as Calcifer. So a pretty stellar cast, I would say.
It's stacked. Studio Ghibli, at least the English dubs, they always get like the greatest voice acting casts ever, and it's like this whole thing where normally anime dubs kind of suck unless they're like very specific classic shows. But Studio Ghibli like never seems to miss with that sort of thing. I think it really helps that I think most of like the English voice acting is at least taken charge of by like Disney. So I think they control
I
a
know
lot of that.
Disney distributes Studio Ghibli. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
in some aspects, because I know like Spirited Away, like Disney was like had their name on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, Spirited Away actually is the reason why Christian Bale is in Howl's Moving Castle.
Really?
Because after watching that movie, he called up Studio Ghibli. Was like, "In your next film, just give me a part. I don't care what it is. I don't care. I want to be in a Studio Ghibli film." And then he ended up getting just the main role.
Main guy.
Well, yeah, the main guy, the titular guy. I'll call it.
Titular
I wouldn't call
guy.
it the main character.
Well, no.
No,
Of course not.
Of course not.
He's the main guy,
It
though.
might be Howl's Moving Castle, but it's not Howl's story completely.
It's not Howl's Moving Castle. It's Sophie's life story.
It's Sophie's
But
cleaning adventure.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So let's start off with a very broad, simple question that I'm going to attack you with. Why do you like this movie?
Why do I like this movie? Other than the fact that it is literally the best, most perfect, most wonderful, gorgeous, amazing movie ever made. Like, specifically, there are... Okay. Howl's Moving Castle is a very calming movie, I think. I find it very healing, almost, in terms of, like, not just the way that, like, the story and, like, the artistic vision of the movie unfolds, because, I mean, you can sit back and watch Howl's Moving Castle, and it's just a very visually stunning, I think, just beautiful experience is the most basic way I can describe it. So on an overall level, I think it has that going for it. But also, one of the things that really, like, I don't know, resonates with me about the movie specifically, and that I really enjoyed when I watched it, is the themes that it tackles. Specifically the themes about, like, aging and growing old. Like, that is the part of the movie that really sticks out to me. The fact that, so the main character, Sophie, she, like, the whole setup of the movie is that she gets struck by this curse that turns her from, like, she's a young girl into, like, well, a young adult woman. And this curse turns her into an older woman. And a lot of the themes of the movie revolve around, like, beauty and self-esteem, and the fact that she is this old woman and she's, like, doing all this stuff plays a really big part in that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Growing up, I feel like, is a very big part of this movie, because not only is Sophie, like, legitimately growing old, you got the Witch of the Wastes, who refuses to grow old, and then is forced to because her magic's taken away from her. But Howl's overall journey is just growing up in general, because as you learn, he is never fully aged since that moment as a child when he got his powers, because he's only been kept alive by a child's heart, his heart. And like the fact that his door leads back to that one moment in his past and he just can't let go from it. I feel like that's kind of his arc in this movie, and like Sophie is like the one to push him out into doing that. And especially like in the way like Howl talks, it definitely feels like a not matured person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when he's like, especially talking about like when he dumps the Witch of the Wastes, and being like, I thought she was beautiful, then I found out she wasn't, so I left.
Yeah. Yeah, and that I really like that line too specifically. It's a very like throwaway line, I feel like, but also I feel like there's a lot of meaning to it. Like at first glance, I think it might seem like, oh, it's just a Howl being like very flippant, I guess, with his relationships. And I think you can read it like that. But I also feel like there might be something to that in the sense of like he thought she was beautiful, but then maybe he realized that she wasn't like on the inside.
On the inside.
I don't know.
Whoa.
Crazy.
I mean, yeah, she did want to like take his heart, and I'm pretty sure eat it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably. Seems pretty tasty, so you can't really blame her.
I mean, it's been cooking for years.
It has been. It's
has
like
been
grilled, got a nice char to it.
A lot of char to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the next thing I think I want to talk about is just like the animation in general. Right off the bat, you see the castle, and it was visually stunning to say the least. Any thoughts on that?
100%. I think, like, okay, literally the first frame of the movie is the castle just emerging from the fog, and it is so, like, it has such a large presence, the castle, and it's, like, throughout the whole movie, it is basically, like, a character of its own, and I think the animation really does it justice. When you watch it, too, one thing that really stands out is the castle just looks very different than the rest of the movie, and it like moves in a very different way. And I was very curious as to why this was happening. I had to look it up. The castle, I found out, is all like CGI animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it definitely creates like a very stark contrast to like all the hand-drawn animation throughout the movie. And I feel like in a way it just makes it stand out that much more and portrays just how intricate and just beautiful it is. But at the same time, it is also extremely ugly.
You think it's ugly?
It's purposefully meant to be, actually, which is something I did want to touch on.
Okay.
It's very disgusting and in disarray, and it's a whole amalgamation of things, and it's like this giant castle, but it's only 4 rooms. There's just so much piled on that you never see.
Yeah.
And it's useless. And I actually found a theory online as to why that is.
Okay. Ooh.
And it's because Howl's Moving Castle is like Howl's secrets and trauma and all his darkness.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, it is kept alive and moved by his own heart.
Yeah.
And, like, throughout the film, like, it gets cleaned up, it shrinks, and eventually it just becomes nothing. It's all his burdens, all his darkness is kind of washed away along with the castle.
Oh, wow. I like that a lot. That definitely makes sense. I also like how that kind of ties into the idea of Sophie coming in as the cleaning lady, and she's, like, actively, I don't know, like, cleaning it up, I guess.
Yeah, touching up on it. The thing I wasn't expecting going into this movie, so from the outside, it seemed like a very straightforward, like, adventure. You know, Howl will be this, like, cool guy. He's cool for a little bit. Then you kind of understand who Howl is.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on who Howl is as a character?
I think Howl's a really fun and interesting character. And I like how he's, like, presented at first as this kind of, like, I don't know, like, swashbuckling Casanova sort of guy who's, like, really scary at the same time, and, like, everyone's afraid of him. But then you get deeper into the movie and you find out that, first of all, he's not as smooth and put together as it seems, and second of all, he's not really as scary as people are making him out to be. Like, he's not trying to literally steal young girls' hearts and eat them. It's like in a metaphorical sense. Maybe it's related somehow. But yeah, I also really like how Howl is just, he's kind of all over the place. And I think the movie, like, handles the chaos that's happening in his mind in, like, a really good way. And I think it's very, like, I guess, compassionate towards that sort of thing, which compassion is kind of another one of the themes of the movie, so that kind of flows throughout. But Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I feel about Howl.
Yeah, and being voiced by Christian Bale, we watched this movie together,
Mm-hmm.
and throughout the entire movie, I kept going, "That's Batman!
Yeah.
Batman's
Uh-huh.
Howl! Whoa!"
It's crazy.
And at one point in the movie, you actually get the first iteration of the Batman growl.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the "I'm Batman, I'm Christian Bale, blah, blah, blah." You actually get that in the movie, and I was like, "Wait, I was joking. That was actually Batman."
That was him. That was literally him.
Yeah.
Mhm. In the second life, Howl actually does don the Batman mask and save Gotham.
So why didn't he bring along his magic bird powers?
He's saving those. It's a surprise tool. It'll help him later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that always strikes me about Christian Bale is the fact that he always plays American characters, so you might think that he's American, but he's actually not.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were aware of this.
Oh, I was very aware of this.
Christian Bale is British, and he's been lying to everyone about it.
I don't think he has.
This is something that really upsets me and really gets me riled up when I think about how Christian Bale is British. I remember when I first found out about Christian Bale being British. Worst day of my life. That's all I'll say. Worst day of my life.
Worst day of your life.
It was the worst day of my life. I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what more to say about this.
Well, he's a frequent collaborator, Christopher Nolan.
Stop.
He's also
Stop,
British.
because I just found this out.
How? How did you just find this out?
I just found this out. I literally I don't know what I did. I saw him in an interview or something, and I was like, oh my god, is he British?
If you just look at the man, he looks British.
I haven't looked at him.
Well, it's shame on you.
It's he directed the Batman movies.
Uh-huh.
And also Oppenheimer?
Uh-huh. And Inception?
Which take place in America. Right? Is that all of them?
Americans make movies about London
That's
and
true.
Paris.
That's true. But you would think based on his film history, you would think that I would think that he's American. He's not directing any Love Actually out here.
Well, not all British people are the same.
That's totally fine.
All right.
But at least most of them, that they're British. With Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale, they've been keeping it a deeply kept secret. And I think there's something suspicious going on with that.
I don't find it that suspicious at all.
Okay. Well, that's just my soapbox.
Soapbox?
Yeah.
Yeah, the soapbox about people hiding their Britishness?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being British. It's just that I didn't think they were British.
So, Tom Holland.
So I know about this. I know about this. He's very public about it. So it's totally fine.
So is Christian Bale.
I disagree. Agree to disagree.
No.
Okay.
So moving forward, there's a lot of fun, kooky characters in this movie.
Yes.
Who would you say is your favorite?
I hate this question because I love all of them. Part of what I think makes this movie so great is that we have such a great cast of characters.
Who's your least favorite?
Oh, I don't have a least favorite. Do you have a least favorite?
The Witch of the Wastes.
The Witch of the Wastes? I thought you might say that.
She has very little purpose in the movie besides cursing and then stealing the heart and ruining things. She's sort of just there to move the plot along.
Well, sure, but I actually do think that I really like her role in the movie as she starts off as being set up as this villain character, right? And she's the evil that she doesn't seem like a good person, but by the end of it she's part of basically the main cast and this family that the whole main cast has kind of created. And I really like how it shows that I don't know, I think it promotes the whole message of pacifism that the movie's going for, and being friends and like just friendship being super important. I don't know. There's this whole scene in the middle of the movie where Sophie and the Witch of the Waste are both walking up this giant flight of stairs to get to the king's castle that they've like both been invited to.
I mean, you're forgetting an important character.
Huh?
You're forgetting a very important character.
Which character is that?
That would be the adorable little Heen.
The tiny little Heen.
Who Sophie believes to be Howl in
Sophie believes
disguise.
to
But
be Howl
really
at the
just a
point.
cute little dog who doesn't want to climb
Just
some
a
stairs.
Dumb little dog.
Dumb little dog.
He's a dumb little crazy little silly little dog.
Heen.
Heen is also in that scene. My apologies. I should not have overlooked him. But yeah, no, so the three of them are walking up this massive flight of stairs, and at this point, you know, the Witch of the Waste is just like this villain who has cursed Sophie, and she doesn't really have any redeeming qualities. She doesn't really get any redeeming qualities by the end of the movie, to be fair, but that's how it is. Anyways, they're both walking up this massive flight of stairs, and Sophie gets to the top of it, and the Witch of the Waste is like lagging behind, and the whole time Sophie has kind of been like, I'm not gonna help you, you cursed me, and you're not gonna save me. But when she gets to the top of the stairs, she like pauses still, and she waits for the witch to get to the top, and she like asks the guards to help her, the witch, up too. And I don't know, I really like that moment. I think it shows that like Sophie is very just a good person, and she cares about people even if they like have wronged her, I suppose. And I just like that. I like it when movies, like, in the end, you can see like the good in almost everyone, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, you talked about how she's set up as like this sort of villain.
Mm-hmm.
But there is like even though there is like a person villain, I feel like the actual villain of the story is just the war that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get much explanation to the war, which we'll get to. Yeah, we don't get much explanation to it. We're constantly seeing like warships flying all about,
Mm-hmm.
battleships in the water. You know, Howl getting called to the castle to be in the war, drafted. We see wizards become, you know, monstrous soldiers for the
Right.
war. What are your thoughts on sort of like because like the war, it's not front and center either. It's sort of just in the background of this movie.
Right.
So what are like your thoughts on that?
I guess I'll say this. The war isn't my favorite part of the movie, like the scenes where they're focusing on the war, but I think it's a good backdrop to have. And I guess like I was saying earlier, I think it also pushes forward like the themes of like pacifism that like Miyazaki, I feel like, has in a lot of his movies. Yeah, and it just kind of, to me, it's there to show like the pointlessness of war in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this movie is based on a book, and this war isn't in the book. It was added by Miyazaki
Okay.
during like filming and like just making this. And so coming out in 2004, the reason sort of Miyazaki put this in there is sort of as like a commentary against the Iraq war that was going on at that time, and just kind of showing like how devastating it was, how like kind of pointless it was.
Yeah.
Like one of the last lines in the movie is like, let's end this silly war.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in it, you know. We'll get to that. But like you really do see like the devastation, like especially when the village is bombed and like there's fires everywhere. And even when Howl just looks up and he sees this warship with like thousands of bombs just waiting to be dropped on innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I thought it was just very an interesting context, context backdrop to just sort of this very cozy movie.
Yeah.
To sort of have that in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned at one point when we were watching this, like how very different the book is from the movie. Were there any like specific things that you knew?
Well, I haven't personally read the book. It is something that I am really hoping to get around to, just because I love the movie so much and I've heard good things about the book too. But that's just kind of something that I knew and I've heard in different circles about how like reading the book is basically an entire different experience and an entire different plot. From what I understand, I think the book might focus more on themes of like gender and like gender roles and stuff like that. But I don't know at all if that is true or if I can verify that.
I mean, in like the sense of like, I guess maybe like the fact that like Sophie becomes a cleaning lady could potentially be a part of that. But I think maybe they both focus, like the book and the movie focus on different aspects of it. Like one is maybe more like I'm cleaning up this castle out of compassion, while one might be like it's expected perhaps. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh yeah, I have no
idea.
idea.
I don't know when this book was written either. Like,
I don't know.
I would assume it's decently older. It seems very much like a fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah, it might be a children's book. I think it is,
yeah.
or like
it seems like it would be
audience.
But yeah, I would assume it's an older book. So with like those kind of contexts, like I can see how like different themes could be portrayed.
Yeah.
And I know it was written by a woman, I'm pretty sure.
Diana Wynne Jones.
That sounds about right.
Something like that.
So yeah, that also has an effect on it because Miyazaki is not a woman.
He is not, no.
So, you know, different perspectives, different times, different lenses. They each kind of added their own perspectives to things. Yeah. So we've been avoiding this long enough, but I'm not getting there just yet.
Okay.
I just want to talk about Calcifer and Turnip Head.
Oh.
Two of my favorite characters.
Oh, I take back what I said earlier. Turnip Head is my favorite character in this entire movie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Turnip Head shows up very early in Sophie's journey, and he won my heart over immediately.
He's so endearing.
He doesn't even talk.
Cute.
He just kind of bounces around.
Yeah.
And he's the most helpful person in this movie.
He literally does no wrong whatsoever at any point.
Nope. And then you have Calcifer, Billy Crystal.
Yeah, Calcifer's funny.
Basically, the funniest part of this entire movie.
Oh, 100%. He's so silly.
He's just a little fire guy.
He's just a little fire guy with the little Billy Crystal voice.
Yeah. I'm eating.
It's so satisfying to watch him eat and just do literally anything.
I think it's just satisfying to watch him move. Like when he was picked up from the fireplace and then like hanging on, and you saw his little tiny legs. I thought that was really cool.
Oh my god, it's so cute. Oh my god, yeah. This is me getting back into like drooling over the animation of this movie, but like Calcifer, he is so expressive. All of the characters in this movie, I think, are like animated in such an expressive way. Yeah, I think it's really funny.
Yeah, I thought it was great. You know, Billy Crystal, he wasn't too much of Billy Crystal in this movie. He didn't overdo his shtick. He had the right amount, and I think he brought across a very endearing character.
Oh my god.
Like Mike Wazowski, I feel like it's just only Billy Crystal, but like I feel like Calcifer was very much the character.
Yeah, Calcifer's his own thing.
Yeah. So yeah. Now we'll get to the part that you're dreading. And that's the ending of this movie.
Don't even go there.
We have to go there. I had the same gripe with Spirited Away, and I've heard that many people have many gripes with Miyazaki movies because they're all perfect until you get to the ending. This man does not know how to write an ending. He is Stephen King. He's Stephen King. He doesn't know how to make an ending because he packs all this stuff in a movie, and it's very much a cozy ride along.
Yes.
It's a hangout movie.
It's a hangout
movie. You're just
movie.
hanging out with these characters.
Yes.
You're along for the ride. And then it's like he gets to this certain point, and he's like, oh, shit. I need an ending to this movie. I wasn't planning on it. And then he throws like 20 things at you in the course of 2 minutes to wrap everything up. And it just feels so unsatisfying.
That's fair, I guess. I fully disagree with you, and I don't know what the prevailing opinion is on Miyazaki endings, but listen, Howl's Moving Castle suffers from this.
So you admit that.
Well, I admit that what you just said, yeah, it describes Howl's Moving Castle, and I can see what you mean. But, like, for me, that adds to the experience. I love the fact that the movie took me on this cozy, wonderful ride. And to be fair, Howl's Moving Castle is very much, it's I think a lot more plot driven than some of the other Miyazaki movies out there. Like, a lot of them very much are just like fun little romps through these whimsical little worlds that Miyazaki has created, or Diana Wynne Jones has created and Miyazaki has taken on. But and Howl's Moving Castle definitely does that, and I think that's part of what makes it so good, is that it just kind of feels like you're hanging out in this fantastical world, and it doesn't really, to me, like, it doesn't really matter what the plot is. Like, I could watch these characters do nothing for like hours, I guess. But it is a movie, and there is some kind of plot that they like injected into it, and I don't know. For me, I think it's insanely funny how arbitrary the ending is and how, like, quick it comes about. There are some slow moments at the end that I'm not a super big fan of, but, like,
What do you mean by that?
I don't like the whole segment towards the end where Howl is, like, fighting off the war, and all the witch of the the wizard henchmen are kind of like taking over the castle and attacking the castle and that sort of thing. Do you know which part I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That feels like they're building to an ending.
Yeah, well, I didn't like that part. I didn't.
Slow. Wait, why do you call that slow? That was like the action of that. Like, that was the opposite of slow.
For me, I find that, like, that's the boring part to me, because nothing is happening character-wise in those moments.
Well,
Like, that's
I feel like
just
there's
action.
stakes. The stakes are, oh no, they're breaking into the castle.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, no, everything you're saying is correct. I just don't care about that. I just want to see them eat breakfast. I just want to see them fry bacon and eat the beautifully Ghibli animated eggs.
Then rewind the movie.
That's what I do. I'll just rewatch the first bit of it, and that's enough for me.
Goodness.
But yeah.
Yeah, let's go through the ending though.
Anyways,
'Cause
yeah.
there's so much that happens. So, number one, the castle destroyed.
Unfortunately, yes.
The castle is completely destroyed.
It was the one and only casualty, I think, of this movie. Also, all the people that probably died, but
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
With a bombing of a
about that.
city, I believe there was some.
There
casualties.
was, yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. So we learned that throughout the movie, Calcifer's been like, if I die, Howl dies. And you learn that that's literal because of the fact that Calcifer is Howl's heart.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the source of his magic. When he was a child, he ate Calcifer, and it got linked to his heart, and his heart came out, and Calcifer was his heart.
Yeah.
So you learn that, and it very much, that felt like the most earned part of the ending was the fact that it was like, oh, this connection, and oh, we're learning more about his backstory.
It's a great reveal,
and then
yeah.
you know, he gets his heart back, and it's like, oh, okay, this feels like an ending.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Miyazaki has done it. He's written an ending. And then Sophie...
and then the best part of the movie happens. No, you don't understand. This is the best part of the movie.
And then Sophie kisses Turnip Head for saving them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? He turns into a person. A guy in a big yellow suit
Uh-huh.
with a cane.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, would you like to say it?
He goes, is he the one who says it? It is him who says it. It's something like, yes, it's me, the prince who's been missing from the neighboring kingdom. And he says it just like that. He says it exactly like that.
I mean, I feel like it's more like, thank you, it is I, the prince of the neighboring kingdom who's gone missing.
Gone missing. It's the most exposition dumpy line of dialogue that it's so cheesy.
It
it's
feels
so
like
silly.
an improv line.
Absolutely. That's what I love about
You walk into a scene. Hello, I am the prince of the neighboring kingdom.
Yes,
I have
yes.
been kidnapped, but I am back now. hello.
And just to clarify, there's like no build up for this whatsoever.
There's no hint that there is a neighboring kingdom.
The neighboring kingdom, the missing prince, none of the things that he's talked about have been mentioned whatsoever.
No. Like not even like in like Howl's kingdom do they mention yeah, we're at war with this neighboring kingdom. Their prince is missing, so we can do it. And then he goes, now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna stop this war.
I'll go home and stop this war. That's what happened.
And then the villain that we see in the movie is like, Howl's learned his lesson. Time to stop this war. What?
Mm-hmm.
You started this war because of Howl? You have killed innocent people because of Howl?
Maybe. Potentially. Who's to say? I see that as more of a, I don't know. First of all, I like this ending because it is so out of nowhere. I think it's funny and silly and fun. And I really like that. I also think it's a very quick wrap up of a movie that like the stakes are high in parts of it when like we're in the context of the actual war that's happening. But for the most part, like the action that we're seeing in the movie and like the actual stuff that's happening, I don't know, the stakes are very low. It's a very...
I disagree.
You disagree?
I think stakes are pretty high because Howl throughout the movie, like you see like he's suffering through his magic. Like he could turn into a bird one day and never come back. Like he could very potentially turn into a monster at any moment because his magic has put so much of a strain on him. I feel like that's the conflict and like the stakes of the movie.
That's a fair point. I guess I see that as kind of an extension of the war because like the reason he's using his magic is to fight in this war and like try and stop it. But I also feel like I don't know. I don't see that as the driving force of the movie. I see the driving force of the movie as like more of a character and relationship sort of deal.
Yeah. And something I've come around to in the ending is just the fact that Sophie no longer has her curse. By the end, she just has white hair. And like throughout the movie, she's been going back and forth between old and young.
Yes.
And I've always just been like, I was like, why? Why are you young one second and old the next? I thought you were just supposed to be old.
Yeah.
You seem like you have thoughts on this. I
do have thoughts on this. This has been one of the mysteries of Howl's Moving Castle that has perplexed me for ages now. And it's I think I'm slowly starting to piece it together. I have theories. I'd like to know if other people have any theories about this or like what other people are saying because I have no idea. But to me it seems like I think it's tied in some way to either the themes of love or the themes of beauty in the movie, the way that her curse fluctuates, because it does fluctuate. And there's like certain moments where she'll like be talking and she'll be going on this rant almost, or like she'll just be talking and not even thinking about like what she's saying. It's just straight from the heart. And then she slowly, like she becomes younger and like the curse like fades away for a second, but then it comes back. And I feel like those are usually the moments where it's like, it's mostly moments with her and Howl, I think I noticed. And so could it be the moments where it's like she's just like in love with Howl and that's what she's thinking of? Could it be that true love is what's breaking the curse? I don't know.
True love
that's
broke
that's what broke Turniphead's curse.
Broke Turniphead's curse. A kiss from someone who doesn't fully love him back.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I think is fun.
Yeah.
But who's to say?
But I have seen online, and I have kind of come around more to it, the fluctuation of the curse. Because at the beginning of the movie, when like all the women in like the hat shop are like, oh, Howl's going to take me away because he takes the hearts of pretty girls. And then Sophie's like, he would never take my heart. And then that's when the curse kind of gets put upon her, is like after Howl saves her. The Witch of the Waste kind of sees, oh, Howl likes you. But she doesn't realize that. She doesn't realize that yet. She doesn't know that's Howl. But the witch puts that curse on her, I think, because of that. It's because Howl like has taken a liking to Sophie.
Oh, okay.
And so she doesn't like see her own beauty yet. And I think it's the parts in the movie where she kind of comes into her own, has like that self-confidence, that self-beauty.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's sort of when she comes into her own and like loses the curse. 'Cause like when she's like cleaning a lot, she is like the old lady.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's not like her coming into her own. That's kind of her, like, doing what's best for others still.
Yeah.
I feel like when, like, she's an old lady, especially when, like, Howl takes her to the field of flowers, and she's like, I'm not beautiful enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then Howl's like, you are beautiful. And then, like, a few moments later, she kind of comes back for a second, and then it subsides again. So I feel like it's got something to do with just her perspective, her views, her self-confidence, and her self-esteem.
Oh, for sure.
So
I like that a lot. I mean, especially since, like, I don't know, it seems like part of the reason why she's old is because, like, we have all these ideas about how, like, youth is tied to beauty, and, like, she becomes old, and it's like she's not supposed to be beautiful at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I think it's really very touching how she, like, finds, like, her self-confidence and, like sees the beauty in herself, even in, like, this old age, and how it's like that is almost a strength that the movie presents of being old.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to maybe talk about for this movie, or
Oh my gosh.
anything in particular you can think that I haven't asked you or we haven't touched on at all? So you want to expand on more?
I don't know. There's just so many things about this movie that I could, like, talk for forever. Like, the themes of, like, the beauty and youth and aging and love. We didn't really talk much about the love story, I guess, but I kind of like
too
that.
much of it.
Yeah, I like that it's not a love story between, like, necessarily two specific people. Like, I like how it's more
family
of a
love.
It's family love and it's self-love, and that's what I
Mhm.
really like about the movie.
Yeah.
How it doesn't, like, have to center a romantic relationship.
Yeah, I
to
mean there
still show
definitely is a
value.
romantic relationship, but like
There
it's
is.
not center stage. There aren't those. There's like maybe like one or two moments where it's like, oh, it's a lovey-dovey sort of thing,
Mhm.
but like most of it's sort of like, oh, get a hold of yourself.
Yeah.
I care about you. Get a
Mhm.
hold of yourself.
Yeah, it's a very, I think it's a very realistic way that they tackle it.
Yeah. So I think we're coming to the end of this episode.
Mhm.
And so we're going to conclude by doing what is now going to become a tradition in these episodes.
Mhm.
And that would be casting the characters in this movie if it were a VTV video.
Yeah.
So, anyone in VTV history who could play each character, And
Yeah.
so I say let's start with the main character. Let's start with Sophie. And this is
Mhm.
gonna be young and old. Like it's the same person.
Okay.
Same person playing, but we'll buy some makeup. We got the budget. We get some makeup going, an old woman voice going.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on who could be Sophie?
I kind of thought this was coming, and I think that this movie in general is going to be hard for me to cast.
I have ideas for a lot of characters.
Okay, for Sophie, I was thinking, she's a very, like, sort of grounded and realistic character, and she's also very determined and goal-oriented. I was thinking either Lexi or Isabella.
Those are the exact two I
Okay.
was thinking in my head.
Okay.
I think that they would be pretty good in that
Mhm.
role. I think that they could play that very well, especially and have fun with a lot of the fun parts of the role. Sort of like, hey, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
pull yourself together.
Mhm.
Calcifer, do what I
Exactly.
say.
Not to, like, typecast Lexi as the grandma, because I think
mean-
this would be, like, the second time she's played one.
Yeah, I mean, stick
Yeah.
to the plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have Isabella, who's played a grandma before. Well, mother.
Well, a mother.
A mother.
A
in,
mother.
In Studs Undercover. And I'm sorry, did we just say mother?
We cannot speak on the forbidden Forbidden Video.
You mean the forbidden video that's on our channel? Look it up now. Mother 1 and 2.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug
That's beautiful.
for one of the most beautiful videos in VTV's
It's
history.
truly touching. I take it back. Can my favorite movie just be Mother? At this point, can we have a whole episode talking about Mother?
No. You should have told me that way sooner. Yeah. So next, let's move on to Howl.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little bit more difficult, I think, in my perspective.
Yeah.
I have some ideas. What were you thinking?
Howl is one of the ones that was very difficult for me to cast. I can't really think of anyone in particular who I think would. I don't know. What were you thinking for this?
I got a couple ideas. I think Joe would do pretty well as a Howl.
I think he could do that.
I think that Demetrius could do pretty well as a Howl.
I could see that.
I see
him doing that.
Demetrius, I think, could do it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially maybe a Connor.
I was thinking Connor, but I realized I don't really know why. He's tall.
I think it's just more the looks.
That's what I was.
It's the looks.
Yeah.
You know, dye his hair white for the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he comes back into his black hair.
Mm-hmm. I actually do have another person who I'd rather cast Connor as, though.
Oh, okay.
So.
Interesting.
Go save that on the back burner.
Next, let's move to Markle, the young boy. Any thoughts on this one? I have 2 ideas.
Yeah,
and one of them will be a gender bend.
Okay. I also didn't have a really clear vision for Markle. Maybe Tommy.
Tommy was one of the ones I was thinking. I think Tommy would do great, especially when he pulls down the beard.
That's a real scrumulous, bombulous move.
That's a scrumulous, bombulous move. Howl's Moving Castle, brought to you by Steve Inc. Yeah, but I think another one, would be Hannah. I think Hannah could play a good Markle.
Oh my God, Hannah would absolutely demolish that role.
I think she'd do pretty well in that role.
I could so see that.
So next, I got one character I'm saving to last.
Okay.
All right. This is a little off the cuff one. Heen. The
dog.
Oh,
I was expecting Heen to come up in this discussion.
Heen's here, of course.
Heen, of course,
cute little puppy.
Heen is adorable. Heen is lovely.
For this one, I don't want to. I'm gonna cast one person as 2 people, because I have, for this I have 2. I have one person who I think could play 2 characters very well.
Okay.
For Heen, I'm thinking Josh.
I was also thinking Josh a little bit.
But I think I have a better character for Josh.
Okay.
I think though maybe Zoe could play a good Heen.
Zoe could maybe do that.
Margot could play a good Heen.
Yeah, because Heen is a very plays it very, I don't know, very straight-laced, I guess, but he's got this sort of sarcastic. He's got an attitude.
He's got an attitude, but it's an adorable attitude.
But it's really cute, and he's also very cute about it. Yeah. Yeah.
So you gotta find someone who would be sarcastic, but not in your face about it.
And who can give you a subtle side eye, and just be he's a very passive aggressive.
You gotta find someone who can give you the eyes to get them to pick you up. Who will Isabella and Lexi carry up a flight of stairs based on the look on their face?
Exactly.
And I think the answer is Josh and Margot there. Yeah, 2 ride or dies.
So true.
So next, we have Turnip Head, and this was my other Josh pick. I think Josh would also be great in a Turnip Head role.
Oh yeah, Josh would be really good at that. Oh, that's a really good point. See, this is what I was saving Connor for.
You were saving Connor.
I was saving Connor for Turnip Head. Mainly, I was just thinking about him doing the little Turnip Head jump.
I see Josh doing that.
You see Josh doing
Especially
that?
dedicating him. This man was Lumiere.
Yeah.
In Beauty and the Beast.
That's so true.
All right, he had freaking candles on his hands. This is an actor who will keep his arms extended.
He will. This is a man who can T-pose.
Yeah, this is a man who can T-pose.
I hate that I just said.
I mean, he does have the Bertram T-pose flag
Oh my god.
in his apartment,
That's such a good point.
who we might just paint over and make turnip head.
As you should. As you should.
So we got 2 characters left. This is the one I'm least looking forward to casting, is Witch of the Waste.
Oh, I was excited for this one because I have someone so ready for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
Jacob. I really want Jacob to play the Witch of the Waste. I think he would do that role so much justice. Like, he could do it. He could do, because he's a good character guy.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. I'm not gonna hop on that. I don't think so. I mean, the only other idea could be like Ashton potentially. I think he can get the little bit of the sassiness going on, and then the laissez-faire sort of attitude towards the end of the movie.
He could do that.
I feel like he could do both sides of that. I feel like I can see him being much more evil towards the beginning, and then much more, you know,
Like, just kind of blank staring.
grabbing the cigar. Here, Calcifer. Speaking of which, the character I saved for last, Calcifer. Calcifer. Very interesting character. Very talkative character. And this is where I bring one Michael Carm.
I was going to say Carm.
Michael Carm.
I was going to say Carm for this one.
So Michael Carm brings a lot of Michael Wazowski energy. All right, which
So
is basically
true.
just Billy Crystal energy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd do pretty well as
He's got the chaos.
he's got the chaos.
Like, he's got the chaotic energy. Like, on lock. Like, he can do
On lock.
that. On lock.
On lock. This could also be another Connor role.
Connor could do it.
I think Connor could do this. I think maybe if we go back to a bit of alumni, we get some Miguel and Pat in a dual role.
Yeah.
We split them in half. Yeah, let's like if we like overlaid them on each other,
Right.
you know.
Right. If we, like, squished them, like, really close together.
I mean, they already are pretty close.
That's
as one
a good
person.
point. We can't really get any.
We can't get any
We
closer.
can't get any closer, no.
I think they do pretty well as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Any other characters you think I missed? I believe that's.
Those are mostly the main
I mean,
ones.
obviously the studio is Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, obviously.
Because the studio moves. It's got
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah, no. It changes location.
We're
like,
currently
all the
in
time.
Canada right now.
Right. Who
Yeah.
knows where we'll be?
India. The Gulag. Nah. Why would the studio ever be
It's
there?
just a dumb statement. Ignore me.
Yeah. So that's all I have for you. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for agreeing to be held hostage while I just ramble to you about my
Me
favorite
being held hostage.
movie.
I'm sorry. This is my show. Actually, you're the one being held hostage. The doors have been locked. I'll unlock them once cameras turn off.
Oh, shoot.
Not a second later. Not a second before. I want you out of my sight. Thank you very much. So this has been Film Faves. Thank you for coming along on this Howl's Moving Castle talking conversation journey.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we now have a schedule, so I can tease a little bit about what next week's going to be about.
Ooh.
Next week, we're going to have one Aidan McGovern on, and he's going to talk about Martin Scorsese's After Hours.
Ooh.
So if you haven't seen that and are curious, give it a watch.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it right now.
Watch it.
You better go watch it.
Go.
If you want to watch the freaking episode, you gotta watch the movie.
Well, you don't have to watch the movie, but
You
It's
do. You
encouraged.
do have to watch the movie. We won't let you watch the episode if you don't watch the movie.
what's this we?
Huh?
What's this we?
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, you.
Right,
You
right.
won't let them watch this movie.
Exactly. It's all under my control.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyways, logo.